you hear this perfection thing, and then, you hear, I mean, it's like the pendulum, one side's smacking it this
and where's
way.
Jesus?
Right in the middle.
Where's he at?
He's right in the middle, and he's saying, listen.
Hey, I'm here.
Right here it is. But at the end of the day, and your kids, and I'm sure just like my kids, it's not near as much about the perfection as it is that they see the heart that's not saying, do as I say, not as I do, but it's a do as I do. Because if it worked for me, then it'll work for you. And I've heard my kids make that statement multiple times to me. Well, not so much that it was perfection, but it was consistency.
I'm clinging to that propitiation. That's what's important.
Absolutely. And the same hope that I've got, hopefully I've painted the picture to my girls. You've got to have that same hope too. And it's not that he's looking for that perfection. He's just looking for that heart that's not looking for a way out.
There you go. Boy, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, where do you go to hear this at?
Well,
I love this guy, man.
There's a podcast on the internet.
Really? What's it called?
Yeah, it's called The Gospel Mind.
Never heard of it. Anyway, move on.
Maybe you spend all your time reading your Bible instead of surfing the internet.
Dang me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We are we ready to move on?
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Verse 19. For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Of course, we've done been over this. I mean, he's talking about this war. Now, if I do that which I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. So it's that lustful desire, he's saying, that's
cause
in me.
and effect.
Yes, exactly. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil was present with me.
Now, boy, don't I live that.
Oh, hey, buddy, and again, it may be, and it's obvious, and I hope that another thing that's revealed through this podcast is that, it's not that everybody, we have to see everything eye to eye. But here's the thing. The end of the day, and I think and I feel like I know from you, that I appreciate you and the time you spend in that book so much that even if I see this side or this way and you see it different, man, I still love you. And I feel like you still love me. And I appreciate the knowledge that you've got. So, and even here, there's something that I think that we all need to understand about the gospel. It's actually possible for me to have a heart to want to do everything I can. And even if I don't do that, I've got to allow myself to keep that heart and continue to push toward that.
Right.
And in that spot, it's not, God's looking for, and here's the thing that I guess I'm trying to say. In a lot of places, God's painted in a manner that it's like he's just standing up there with a bolt of lightning on the tip of his fingers, just waiting on Rodney Martin to disagree with me or me to disagree with you so he can go, or you to fall short somewhere in the gospel and him to say, and just drop you off. Man, I hope that that's not the God that I'm serving, by no means, because I cannot see it. It's just like it's painted that God went through all this. He gave his son, he went through all of this to open up access for me to actually get back to him, just so he could just continually kick the props out from underneath me.
No.
That's not God. And if God is that merciful to me, I'll go with what I think you said there earlier. It's going to take a whole lot to convince me otherwise. Then should we not be that merciful and actually show a little more love and compassion toward one another?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. And I tell you, man, I appreciate other points of view.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I don't have other points of view like this guy right here, then I'll get boxed in myself.
Exactly.
And I'll never grow.
Yes.
And so when you hear that other point of view, it's going to force you to rethink your position and go, well, wait a minute. Why is it that I believe what I believe?
Right.
maybe I'm wrong about this, and that spurred so much growth in my Christian walk.
Absolutely, and I think that's why that
from you and from others that have just presented it in another way, and I go, wow, it's just like that reproducing after its own kind. Yeah. I never ever would have caught that,
right?
And made so much out of it like you have.
Well, and I think I'm sorry, I just keep interrupting.
No, that's fine. But he's talking about it's just a given. He says, I find it a law, and this is the way I perceive this. I find it a law. He means it's just a given that when I go to do good, there's always some reason for me not to do good. There's always something to beset me to keep me from doing that good. And it's usually a lust of my own. It's not necessarily that the devil has put this in front of me. It's my own lust that's drawn me away. Now the beginning. Yeah, the devil's job is to make sure there's something there for you to take hold of.
He ties the little bell to it.
He does.
Yeah.
But it's my own lust that draws me away.
That got me to looking.
Yeah.
And therefore I see the bell. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And I can see that. Absolutely. And I'll say this.
Put your point of view out there.
And I'm going to kind of back up and go along with what you were saying. I think that's why, on my part, and that's why that I feel like I mesh so good with you, is because you've got an opinion and you give your opinion, and more than your opinion actually causes me to back up and reevaluate my opinion. Yeah. But that's the intent of the gospel.
That's what happens to me.
Yeah. And the gospel's alive, and with that life, and I'll tell you the point that I guess I'm trying to get to. Have you ever read a verse in the Bible a year ago, and it's just like something came on at that place in your life, and you said, oh man, that's directed right to me.
Yes.
And then 6 months later, you're in a completely different place, and you read that verse, and it's like
no effect. Absolutely. I've had that happen. More than once.
That's the life of the Bible.
It's alive.
And that's why I think it's good that we don't get so locked down, in my opinion, being right. Because, man, when I do, I'm shutting myself off to a lot of lies.
Well, I hear this a lot. It's not my opinion that matters. It's not your opinion that matters. It's the Bible. Well, that's true. But at the end of the day, all I've got is my opinion. I mean, that's all I've got.
Right.
Because
exactly.
I see this the way I see it, and that's all I got.
Yes, and I'll never get outside of my opinion if I don't hear other opinions.
That's exactly right, and that's a great point. And that's why I love to interact with other people in these scriptures, because sometimes the most unusual way somebody will bring something forth, and even if you disagree with them at the end of the day, it'll still spur something that'll make you go, wow, I really never looked at it that way.
And it could
I've done that so many times with you.
Well, and that's a two-way street. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, it's never good to limit yourself. And I'll say it again. I think that's why that I mesh so well with you, is because that opinion. At the end of the day, it's not like either one of us is holding a gun at the other one's head and saying, well, you got to take my point of view.
You idiot!
Yeah, right. But it's just like you said. And I think for everybody out there, be open-minded, but at the same time, be firm in what you feel like God's give you, but don't be so firm that you're like the Pharisees and scribes, to where you have ears that can't hear, or you have eyes that can't see.
Yeah.
All right. That's good, brother. I appreciate you. All right. Something, you got anything else?
I think not.
All right. I don't have a clue. What did we make it down? 21?
21, yeah.
All right. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil was present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. Now, and there, yes. I mean, you're seeing he's separating the two.
Yeah. So,
yes, and you very well possibly could be right with what you're saying there with all this down through here to the believer, because he's saying, my inward man delights. But in verse 21, he says, then there's a law that when I went to do good, that evil's always there. Just like you said, it's whether it's me and lust, whatever it is, it's always there. And we won't drop down in this rabbit hole too much, but we've been on a study here in the last little bit about Satan and the fall and all that. And when whatever the reason, his intent and his purpose is he could not do anything with God. So what better way to get at God than to come after God's prized possession, which is the church.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's a gimme. He's going to be there around every corner because he knows his destiny and he wants that to be our destiny too.
Right.
So yes, and I kind of think that's sort of what Paul's saying here.
I think so.
All right, now in verse 23, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind. And that amazes me that even in this, Paul's talking about his mind.
Yes.
And bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is by my members. So now, if I'm understanding this right, Paul's saying there's another law. Now, my inward man may desire the good, but he said, I'm seeing another law, and it's warring against the law of my mind. So
there's that battle.
Yes. So, and where does it happen? Yeah, I mean.
Always.
Yeah.
This is the battleground.
It is. Yeah. And so, yes. Now, there's this war, and it's the law of my mind, and it's bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. So my mind's warring, and this sin is in my flesh. So he's saying it's right there waiting to pop up.
This hampers my ability to rise above.
And yes, right.
This
It's right there just
sin.
itching to come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to remain here in the battlefield.
Right.
It's
exactly.
keeping me in the battle. I want to leave the battle. I want to walk off. I want to rise above, but I'm always pulled back into this battle by this law that says, when I go to do good, evil. Doggone it. Right there it is.
It's always
I can't
right there.
shake it.
Yeah.
It is continually there
It's
somewhere.
Just gnawing, waiting on the opportunity for me to let my guard down.
That's it.
So,
whether it be my temper, whether it be my desires, whatever that may be.
Yeah, well, and I kind of cheated a little bit while you was talking there and kind of glanced on down, and that stands to reason because the last two verses.
Yeah.
In verse 24, he said, "O wretched man that I am." So now he's talking about this war in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
"O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death?"
Okay, that's indicating I need a deliverer.
Right.
Because I'm in this body.
Yes.
I've got to have deliverance. And the only deliverance is what?
There's something that even if I have a desire to do better, there is something there that just keeps dragging me down. I need something to mediate or to stand in for this deficit. So, what would be that stand in? And
The whole chapter's leading up to this last verse.
And Paul says it right here in the end. He says, "I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin." So now
he's not saying he serves sin.
right.
We got to get that through our head.
Yes.
He's saying he's subject to the law of sin. That law that he's talking about, that he finds it a law, that evil will always be present.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to battle it.
Yes.
I think that's the overarching message that he's trying to portray.
Right. Well, and then in Ephesians, I believe it's in Ephesians, he says that we're transformed or we're changed by the renewing of our mind. And I think that's why that he's mentioning this mind here. He's actually saying, if I continue to think the way that old man thinks, then I'm going to continue to follow that pattern. And anytime that temptation comes, I'm going to fall into it.
Yeah.
But he's saying, I have to change the way I think because that is the ability that Jesus, or the power that Jesus has given me to begin
and that's only possible through Christ.
Through Christ.
The only possibility is Christ.
Is Christ. And we talked about it a minute ago. When you look at what comes natural, when that neighbor does you wrong, it's just natural to retaliate.
The world says if I get hit, I hit back harder.
Exactly. But Jesus says if you turn the other cheek, you actually see yourself living free from that, and you'll actually have an impact on that individual.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
The meek shall inherit the earth. So, yes, it's a battle. And Paul told us, he said, we fight the good fight of faith. We're going to continually be in a battle to maintain our faith in this and to stand.
He talks about it as a fight. He talks about it as a race.
And a war. I mean, it's constantly.
The thing about it is, when we look at it from the standpoint of a race, we're running a race. Well, anybody that saw a race, there's a winner and there's losers.
Yes.
Who are we in a race with? I think ourselves.
Well, sure. I've told the church 100,000 times if I've told them once. And I don't say this to take any authority and certainly say that, the devil's just a pushover. But I'm going to tell you something. The devil is not always my biggest problem. As a matter of fact, I'll say the majority of the time, my biggest enemy is that man I look at in the mirror every single day.
Right.
That's the one that I find to be my biggest enemy.
Well, John talks about that recipe of death that you just talked about a minute ago. It's our own lust.
It's our own lust.
Every man is enticed when he's drawn away by his own lust.
Yes.
Lust, when it is conceived, bringeth forth sin.
Yes.
Sin, when it is finished,
it bringeth
forth death. Now, where's the devil in that? Well, see, the devil's job is to make sure you have that ability to act out that
he's
lust
going to
or
put
whatever.
it in front of you.
He's going to make sure that you have that ability. He set up this world to make sure that old Dwayne, whatever it is that turns him on, is out there for him to get a hold of.
Yes.
But it's our own lust from that nature that was imparted to us right on down from Adam. We have that same nature.
All he can do is present it.
Yeah.
And even in the presentation of it, and I'm not for sure exactly how the scripture's worded, but the Bible said that if we would resist the devil, if we would draw nigh unto God, resist the devil, he would flee.
Yeah.
Now, I've always heard that brought out as a twofold process. Draw nigh to God and resist the devil. But what if he's saying the drawing nigh to God is the resisting the devil? And then again,
that's interesting.
Just thinking out loud. But here's the thing, how often is it that you spend, well, and let's just say for the sake of Sunday morning in church. You go, you sit in church, and it seems like, when you get up to open your Bible up and teach, it's just like the Lord opens your mind up to the verses that you hadn't read in forever. It's right there. And it's just like, man, alive. I mean, the Spirit it's overshadowing me. It's bringing all these verses back. And then the preacher gets up and he, preaches this message, and it's like, wow, man, alive. I mean, he's really encouraged you to get out there, man, on the battlefield and fight.
Right.
When you're in that position, do you right in the middle of all that, do you think, man, alive, I'd like to be watching TV?
No.
Of course not.
No. It's the farthest thing from your mind.
Exactly. So that right there goes to show, if we would, and I know it's not going, if we were always in that spot, then that spot would seem normal and it wouldn't have that appeal.
Exactly.
But if we spent more time in that spot, then we would spend a lot less time with our hands up trying to battle.
You're exactly right. And we see what's natural. What we read tonight is what's natural.
Yes.
What we read in first chapter of Romans, that's natural.
Right.
That's our natural state.
That's our, yes. We are barbarians, whether people want to admit it or not.
Yeah, we are. If you don't believe that, just look at the abortion industry today.
Absolutely.
We'll look at the gods of Molech and stuff in the Old Testament, and we'll see how they sacrificed their children to Molech, and we'll go, gosh, that was brutal. That was barbaric. Never given heed to the systematic slaughter, the industrialization.
Yes.
Of abortion in our nation today.
Yes.
And it's all done after the same lust.
Yeah. And
self-interest.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and excuse me, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, before she passed away, was one of those that was a lot like you with me. I mean, he could just spark my thought process in a way that there wasn't many people that could. So me and him was constantly, just like me and you, we were bouncing, stuff back and forth with one another. This would have been, I'm going to say somewhere around 2002, 2004, somewhere back in that time. And he had looked into the abortion rate and the numbers at that time. And he had told me back then, like I say, 2002, that since Roe v. Wade had been passed back in, 73, 75, 73, that there had been more babies aborted under that law or because of that law up to that point that we were talking about that than all the Jews that were killed during the Holocaust. But now, if you look at the Holocaust, and I'm not taking anything away from the evilness that was in Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
But when we look at Adolf Hitler, we paint him as this godless, evil dictator that done nothing but bad. But in the name of my body, my choice, we have far surpassed the death of Adolf Hitler, and we're justified in it.
Yep.
There's something behind that.
Absolutely.
That we're missing or we're neglecting to see.
Yeah.
So yes, if you want to know how evil we are, and here's the thing I think that makes it the most evil is because I feel like it's okay and it's my body and my choice. I'm not like Adolf Hitler. I'm much, much better than he is.
Way more refined.
Right. But yet I'll look back at him who did not take as many lives as we have aborted, and I'll call him this evil man. And he is evil.
Yeah.
But at the same token, so are we for actually justifying it by saying it's a fetus.
Yeah, and that's the way of dehumanizing it and
well, sure.
painting a pretty picture of something
Justifying
that's terrible,
myself.
ugly.
Yes.
And, we look back on the gods Molech, and we see through history and also, through the scriptures that, the reason they would do this is for prosperity. They thought that if they sacrificed this innocent child to that god, that the god would look down and smile and be happy because of their sacrifice and say, well, let's give them good crops this year. Let's make them prosperous. So
Right.
in the name of prosperity, they gave their children to Molech. And today, it's the same lust.
It's the same thing.
It's the same lust because many women that are interviewed after an abortion, they'll say the reason I did this is because that child would have gotten in the way of my education or gotten in the way of my
wasn't the right
progress in life in some way. So again, it's prosperity.
Yes. But
So the reasons really haven't changed. They just shape shifted.
Right. I guess the question I always have with that is this. Where was that thought process when I was allowing the heat of the moment and my lust to get me in the sack with whoever I got in the sack with that caused that? And I know, and I understand, that, sin is going to sin. Sinners, sinful people. I mean, that's our nature. We went over that. But if I'm going to follow after the lust of my flesh, then, I'm going to have to understand that I am producing a fruit. It is going to produce a fruit. Here's the thing. The only one thing that is 100% guaranteed as far as protection from pregnancy is abstinence.
Absolutely. That's why the Bible teaches it.
Right. Anything outside of that, I don't care what kind of birth control or protection that we can convince ourselves of. If we do that, we are taking a chance that something could go wrong and it can produce a child. So there is that chance that we're taking. So if I want to fix it, then why don't I stop and start thinking about that inconvenience before I ever allow that lust to drive me to that place? And I know, I'm certainly not one to sit. I mean, I've done things that I'm not proud of at all. So I'm not saying it in that aspect, but what I am saying is, we all of a sudden come up and say, well, it's an inconvenience, but it wasn't too inconvenient when, but that's just a part of this battle we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The devil's not going to show you that result when you're in the heat of passion.
That's right.
He's just going to show you, oh wow, I see it, I want it, let me go get it. But it's going to.
There is this rule in physics. It's called cause and effect. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. And so what we're trying to do is erase nature and say we can have one without the other.
Right. And
it's just not possible.
No.
It's not possible.
No.
There's always something negative going to come from negative. It's going to reproduce.
It's going to reproduce.
Time,
I mean, it is.
Gosh, that's a gift that just keeps giving. I love it.
Yes, and it is. And until we can understand that, whether it's Adolf Hitler or the abortion clinic down the road.
Yeah.
And I'll say this across the board. We're in a bad state mentally when we can just, without any thought at all, take a life, whether it would be a Jew, whether it would be a child. There's something missing when I can be judge, jury, and executioner all at one time without any cause. Now, I understand we live by laws, and by our laws there has to be punishment. Therefore, we have such things as the death penalty. I understand that. But to say simply because I got a little wild one night, or because I don't like you because your eyes are the wrong color, or your hair's not blonde, and I think that was Hitler's goal, was blonde hair, blue eyes.
Master race.
I mean, man, what is in us so deprived that life don't mean any more than that?
But one thing's essential in that is you have to dehumanize the victim.
Exactly.
You have to dehumanize it. That's why we see a baby called a fetus. It's called everything but a baby at that stage.
Yes. And that's why Hitler. And that's why Hitler said that the Jews were a
vermin. I was going to bring that up next. They were vermin. They considered them vermin. So you have to dehumanize in order to pass this off.
You have to dehumanize, and it just goes to show, without God, and I say this without reservation, without God, and I know that in the time we live in, it's a major push to try to prove there is no God, we evolved and all that. But I'm going to tell you something, and if this is out there, and time goes on 40 years from now and it gets to this point, but you take my word for it, if we ever do push God completely out the way that we're trying, we're going to see things, and the generations ahead of us are going to see things that would actually blow this generation's mind.
Yeah.
And I tell you how I know that. Because I think about your granddaddy and my granddaddy, and if they came back from the grave and saw what me and you see right now, they would say, how on earth did we get to that
Scare
place?
them to death,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's exactly right. We're seeing, just in our little time,
absolutely,
the fruits of a society that's apostatizing, going away from God.
Don't need God.
Right.
Don't want God.
Yeah.
Well,
we're seeing the fruits of that. It used to be shocking,
but it's not
to
anymore.
see the things that we see today on a regular basis. If you get on the local news website, it's amazing how many people have been murdered.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Right here in our area.
There's always some kind of a murder or some kind of violence, some kind of terrible violence. And it's all a product of a society that's slipping away. That's drifting far from the shore.
Yes. Well, you'll never teach a child, and I say teach, I mean a lot of times we don't really have to look at them and tell them, but by the way we conduct ourselves, whether we want to admit it or not, we're teaching them something.
Yes, we are.
And when you teach a child that there is no authority, and you do not have to be subject to any authority, you can bet your bottom dollar that seed is going to reproduce something.
It is.
And when that child gets 18 years old and you actually see that they're in the wrong and you try to show them authority,
won't work.
No. And you wonder why that, it's so easy for a child in some situations to take the life of mom and dad.
Yeah. Well, I've always said this, discipline, how can a person self-discipline? I mean, self-discipline is key. It's vital in survival. Okay, self-discipline. Well, how can a grown person discipline themselves if they don't know what discipline is as a child?
You're not gonna.
That's the purpose. That is the purpose of discipline at a young age. Not only just to have kids that behave well,
right,
but it's also to teach that
self-discipline produces something worthy of the sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm familiar with discipline.
Right.
I know what it means.
Yes.
You know, I may have been forced at some point to understand discipline, but now I understand what that is. That concept has meaning in my mind.
Absolutely.
And when I see the things in my life that are going wrong, I know what that is. I'm familiar with discipline, and I begin to self-discipline. That's the whole idea.
It's the whole idea, and
it's that common sense. It's lost.
That's the purpose behind this.
Yes,
just like that tonight. Paul's trying to get us to see and understand that while there may be that ongoing battle, there is benefits to suffering through or killing this flesh and keeping it under subjection, because it brings forth the peaceable, righteous fruit of the Spirit.
Right.
And in that spot is the only place that you will ever find true peace and contentment, because that's the purpose that you were created to be in.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. So, you know, and it goes that way in every aspect of our life. I mean, you know, there's a reason that there's a speed limit out here, and it's because if everybody run 140 mile an hour down the road, then, you know, how many more accidents would?
And the thing about that speed limit is, if you see that sign every day, you pass by that sign every day, then you understand what that sign means, and you understand why it's there.
Yes.
All right. So if that sign disappears one day, you're still going to make that connection. I can't make that curve any faster than this. I'd better take my time through here. So that's kind of understanding the connection between discipline and self-discipline.
Absolutely. And there is a need for it. So, you know, very, very, very important that we understand that a rule of law, whether it be spiritually or in our everyday life, has benefits to it. And hey, I hope maybe we said something or passed something out that was a help to somebody.
Amen. All right. Well, glad you was with us tonight. Appreciate you tuning in, and just stay tuned. We've got more that's going to come out. This is really going to get good.
We're just getting started now.
I've really enjoyed what we've done so far, but man, it's going to get, to me, even better as we get into this thing, because lots of good theology coming out of the rest of Romans here. So I can't wait to get into it. I've really enjoyed the study tonight.
Absolutely.
With my brother Dwayne Fields, and
absolutely,
I appreciate you being here and adding your insight to this thing. Without you, it wouldn't, the wheels wouldn't turn.
No. Well, and I've studied with a lot of people, and like I say, there's very few that seems like I mesh with enough that they, you know, we can bounce stuff off, and you're one of them. So yeah.
All right.
Kudos to you.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate you all. What do you usually say?
Hey, hit that like button, subscribe, whatever all them buttons is. We're not real savvy with the internet, so whatever they are, hit them. If you got something out of it, tell a neighbor. Tell somebody at your church. Hey, we'll take all the support we can get.
That's right. And that's it for us tonight. Over and out.